Bible in a Year Live Chronological Project, Week 8, Day 6, Complete Jewish Bible. Adonai said to Moshe, "Tell the people of Israel the designated times of Adonai which you are to proclaim as holy convocations are my designated times. Work is to be done on 6 days, but the seventh day is a Shabbat of complete rest, a holy convocation. You are not to do any kind of work. It is a Shabbat for Adonai, even in your homes. These are the designated times of Adonai, the holy convocations you are to proclaim at their designated times. In the first month, on the 14th day of the month, between sundown and complete darkness, comes Peshach for Adonai. On the 15th day of the same month is the festival of Matzah. For 7 days you are to eat matzah. On the first day you are to have a holy convocation. Don't do any kind of ordinary work, bringing an offering made by fire to Adonai for 7 days. On the seventh day is a holy convocation. Do not do any kind of ordinary work. Adonai said to Moshe, "Tell the people of Israel, after you enter the land I am giving you and harvest its ripe crops, you are to bring a sheaf of the first fruits of your harvest to the Kohen. He is to wave the sheaf before Adonai, so that you will be accepted. The Kohen is to wave it on the day after the Shabbat. On the day that you wave the sheaf, you are to offer a male lamb without defect in its first year as a burnt offering for Adonai. Its grain offering is to be 1 gallon of fine flour mixed with olive oil, an offering made by fire to Adonai as a fragrant aroma. Its drink offering is to be of wine, 1 quart. You are not to eat bread, dried grain, or fresh grain until the day you bring the offering for your God. This is a permanent regulation through all your generations, no matter where you live. From the day after the day of rest, that is, from the day you bring the sheaf for waving, you are to count 7 full weeks. Until the day after the 7th week, you are to count 50 days, and then you are to present a new grain offering to Adonai. You must bring bread from your homes for waving, 2 loaves made with 1 gallon of fine flour, baked with leaven, as first fruits for Adonai. Along with the bread, present 7 lambs without defect, 1 year old, 1 young bull, and 2 rams. These will be a burnt offering for Adonai, with their grain and drink offerings, an offering made by fire as a fragrant aroma for Adonai. Offer 1 male goat as a sin offering and 2 male lambs 1 year old as a sacrifice of peace offerings. The Kohen will wave them with the bread of the first fruits as a wave offering before Adonai. With the 2 lambs, these will be holy for Adonai for the Kohen. On the same day, you are to call a holy convocation. Do not do any kind of ordinary work. This is a permanent regulation through all your generations, no matter where you live. When you harvest the ripe crops produced in your land, don't harvest all the way to the corners of your field, and don't gather the ears of grain left by the harvesters. Leave them for the poor and the foreigner. I am Adonai your God." Adonai said to Moshe, "Tell the people of Israel in the 7th month, the first day of the month is to be for you a day of complete rest for remembering a holy convocation announced with blasts on the shofar. Do not do any kind of ordinary work and bring any offering made by fire to Adonai." Adonai said to Moshe, "The 10th day of this month is Yom Kippur. You are to have a holy convocation. You are to deny yourself, and you are to bring an offering made by fire to Adonai. You are not to do any kind of work on that day because it is Yom Kippur, to make an atonement for you before Adonai your God. Anyone who does not deny himself on that day is to be cut off from his people, and anyone who does any kind of work on that day I will destroy from among his people. You are not to do any kind of work. It is a permanent regulation through all your generations, no matter where you live. It will be for you a Shabbat of complete rest, and you are to deny yourselves. You are to rest on your Shabbat from evening, the 9th day of the month, until the following evening." Adonai said to Moshe, "Tell the people of Israel, on the 15th day of this month is the feast of Sukkot for 7 days to Adonai. On the first day, there is to be a holy convocation. Do not do any kind of ordinary work. For 7 days you are to bring an offering made by fire to Adonai. On the 8th day, you are to have a holy convocation and bring an offering made by fire to Adonai. It is a day of public assembly. Do not do any kind of ordinary work. These are the designated times of Adonai that you are to proclaim as holy convocations and bring an offering made by fire to Adonai, a burnt offering, a grain offering, a sacrifice, and drink offerings, each on its day. Besides the Shabbats of Adonai, your gifts, all your vows, and all your voluntary offerings that you give to Adonai. But on the 15th day of the 7th month, when you have gathered the produce of the land, you are to observe the festival of Adonai 7 days. The first day is to be a complete rest, and the 8th day is to be a complete rest. On the first day, you are to take a choice fruit, palm fronds, thick branches, and river willows, and celebrate in the presence of Adonai your God for 7 days. You are to observe it as a feast to Adonai 7 days in the year. It is a permanent regulation, generation after generation. Keep it in the 7th month. You are to live in Sukkot for 7 days. Every citizen of Israel is to live in Sukkah, so that generation after generation of you will know that I made the people of Israel live in Sukkot when I brought them out of the land of Egypt. I am Adonai your God. Thus Moshe announced to the people of Israel the designated times of Adonai. Adonai said to Moshe, order the people of Israel to bring you pure oil from crushed olives for the light, to keep the lamps burning always. Outside the curtain of the testimony in the tent of meeting, Aharon is to arrange for the light to be kept burning always from evening until morning before Adonai. This is to be a permanent regulation through all your generations. He is always to keep in order the lamps on the pure menorah before Adonai. You are to take fine flour and use it to bake 12 loaves, 1 gallon per loaf. Arrange them in 2 rows, 6 in a row on the pure table before Adonai. Put frankincense with each row to be an offering made by fire to Adonai in place of the bread and as a reminder of it. Regularly, every Shabbat he is to arrange them before Adonai. They are from the people of Israel as a covenant forever. They will belong to Aharon and his sons, and they are to eat them in a holy place, because for him they are of the offerings for Adonai made by fire, especially holy. This is a permanent law. There was a man who was the son of a woman of Israel and an Egyptian father. He went out among the people of Israel, and this son of a woman of Israel had a fight in the camp with a man of Israel, in the course of which the son of the woman of Israel uttered the name Yod-He-Vav-He in a curse. So they brought him to Moshe. His mother's name was Shlomit, the daughter of Dibri, of the tribe of Dan. They put him under guard until Adonai would tell them what to do. Adonai said to Moshe, take the man who cursed outside the camp, have everyone who heard him lay their hands on his head, and have the entire community stone him. Then tell the people of Israel, whoever curses his God will bear the consequences of his name, and whoever blasphemes the name of Adonai must be put to death. The entire community must stone him. The foreigner as well as the citizen is to be put to death if he blasphemes the name. Anyone who strikes another person and kills him must be put to death. Anyone who strikes an animal and kills it is to make restitution, life for life. If someone injures his neighbor, what he did is to be done to him. Break for break, eye for eye, tooth for tooth. Whatever injury he has caused on the other person is to be rendered to him in return. He who kills an animal is to make restitution, but he who kills another person is to be put to death. You are to apply the same standard of judgment to the foreigner as to the citizen, because I am Adonai your God. So Moshe spoke to the people of Israel, and they took the man who had cursed outside the camp and stoned him to death. Thus the people of Israel did as Adonai had ordered Moshe. Adonai spoke to Moshe on Mount Sinai. He said, Tell the people of Israel, when you enter the land I am giving you, the land itself is to observe a Shabbat rest for Adonai. 6 years you will sow your field, 6 years you will prune your grapevines, and gather their produce. But in the 7th year, it is to be a Shabbat of complete rest for the land, a Shabbat for Adonai. You will neither sow your field nor prune your grapevines. You are not to harvest what grows by itself from the seeds left by your previous harvest, and you are not to gather the grapes of your untended vine. It is to be a year of complete rest for the land. But what the land produces during the year of Shabbat will be food for all of you, your servant, your maid, your employee, anyone living near you, your livestock and the wild animals on your land. Everything the land produces may be used for food. You are to count 7 Shabbats of years, 7 times 7 years, that is 49 years. Then on the 10th day of the 7th month, on Yom Kippur, you are to sound a blast on the shofar. You are to sound the shofar all through your land. And you are to consecrate the 50th year, proclaiming freedom throughout the land to all its inhabitants. It will be a Yovel for you. You will return everyone to the land he owns, and everyone is to return to his family. That 50th year will be a Yovel for you. In that year, you are not to sow, harvest what grows by itself, or gather the grapes of untended vines. Because it is a Yovel, it will be holy for you. Whatever the fields produce will be food for all of you. In this year of Yovel, every one of you is to return to the land he owns. If you sell anything to your neighbor or buy anything from him, neither of you is to exploit the other. Rather, you are to take into account the number of years after the Yovel when you buy land from your neighbor, and he is to sell to you according to the number of years crops will be raised. If the number of years remaining is large, you will raise the price. If few years remain, you will lower the price, because what he is really selling you is a number of crops to be produced. Thus you are not to take advantage of each other, but you are to fear your God, for I am Adonai your God. Rather, you are to keep my regulations and rulings and act accordingly. If you do, you will live securely in the land. The land will yield its produce, you will eat until you have enough, and you will live there securely. If you ask, if we aren't allowed to sow seed or harvest what our land produces, what are we going to eat the 7th year? Then I will order my blessings on you during the 6th year, so that the land brings forth enough produce for all 3 years. The 8th year you will sow seed, but eat the old, stored produce until the 9th year. That is, until the produce of the 8th year comes in. You will eat the old stored food. The land is not to be sold in perpetuity, because the land belongs to me. You are only foreigners and temporary residents with me.